Welcome back to the program. We're still here on Daybreak Africa, and you already know how we do it on the program. Now, today is the Thursday, and we're going to be talking about something that has to do with health, especially for Lagosians. Now, you know how life in Lagos is. A lot of you, whether you're in Lagos or you're outside Lagos, you've heard about the stress that comes with being in Lagos. In fact, some people believe that you cannot live long if you are a Lagos resident. Well, today we're going to be talking about what the impact that mental stress has on Lagos residents, how it affects our mental health, because I'm also a resident of Lagos. Now, joining us to talk about it this beautiful Thursday morning is Seun Ambassador, a coach and a real estate, a realtor, so to speak. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
How are you doing?
Very fine.
Now, straight to the topic. Lagos stress is on another level. I remember a certain time, sometime in 2018, when I was going to visit Abuja for the very first time. I got to Abuja and I joined a church, still my church in Lagos though, but another branch in Abuja. And I look at the men in church at that time. To be very honest, I felt as though many of them were maybe in their 40s, or maybe their late 40s or early 50s. Only to find out that they were mostly in their 60s. In fact, some of them were in their 70s. But they looked so fresh and young. The idea of a man in his 60s, or a woman in his 70s, for me, as someone who was born in Lagos, was totally different. What I imagined, or what I knew, what I was familiar with, was different from what I met when I went to Abuja. When I also lived in Ondo, I realized that people were kind of younger. I don't know, outside Lagos. Now, how much impact? In fact, let's first talk about the stress in Lagos itself. What is the major cause of this stress? Because for me, I don't know, I travel once in a while, but when you are coming in and you get to Bega, you can literally feel the heat. There's this, I don't want to call it toxicity.
It's a corporate hustle spirit.
Corporate hustle spirit. Okay, please expand.
You know, when it comes to mental health, it is pretty important that it's not by default. Irrespective of whatever city you live in, I can attest to what you're saying about Ondo State. I lived in Ondo State for 14 years.
Wow, okay.
Before I relocated, I was living in Accra. But still, it's not as if maybe everybody in Ondo State looks young. There definitely will be people you will meet that looks older than their age.
Right.
But of course, Lagos is a different world, you know, and because of the mechanics of Lagos State's traffic, the stress of your job, you know, and all of that, you have to be hyper proactive about ensuring that there is balance in your mental health. Mental health basically means being proactive about creating balance between emotions and logic, right? And because of the way Lagos is structured,
right,
you as an individual must go a step further to ensure that you maintain that balance, you establish that balance, and you service that balance. You know, because, I mean, there are people who just, I've heard all kinds of things lately, just slump and die.
Right.
You know,
there's a lot of them, a whole lot.
Yeah, and
lot.
It's the stress, it's lack of being proactive about your mental health. You know, and once you know that you're in Lagos, you should everything in terms of, okay, your economic literacy, in terms of the job, in terms of you literally have to do a life audit in Lagos so that you can be more proactive. For instance, the artificial lifestyle that is preponderant in Lagos, you know, that people are living.
What does artificial lifestyle mean?
When you're not, for instance, this shoe now has rubber sole.
All right.
The sun is electric. The Mother Earth is magnetic. You are an electromagnetic person. But if you as an individual stay too long disconnected from the sun, disconnected from being grounded, you know, Mother Earth, because the earth has natural electrons that helps you remove all kinds of toxicity from your body. But a lot of people do not do that. They don't get grounded every now and then, and because for as long as you're disconnected, the longer you're disconnected from nature, you know, the sicker you can become.
Yes, not what you say so.
Yes.
So it boils down to being like intentional about your mental health.
Everything.
That's the word.
You have to be very, very intentional. That's what proactivity means.
Yeah.
You have to be very, very intentional, most especially living in a place like Lagos.
Yeah, and like citing the example that you gave of, say, like, you know, someone that slummed and died, you know, being intentional about your mental health, you know, sometimes you can't really blame some people. Like this mental health thing that is coming to light now, you figure out that, like, for my own personal opinion, in the last 10 years, people were not really, you know, conscious about mental health. We want to say like the Gen Zs or the millennials are now, like they were not, the Gen Zs are like bringing it, like they see a job that is stressing them. So like how people that like are older, like how, like what is the part for them to be intentional about this, you know, this stress that is affecting them?
Let me add to that question. I'm going to add to it from the perspective that I found that a lot of Lagosians they feel they cannot even survive outside Lagos. Like when they get to an environment that I would call healthy, in a way that's cautious of their mental health, many of them just feel that, nah, this place is too, the silence here is too loud. I cannot deal. They want that stress and all of that.
They're used to being mad.
I didn't say that. You did, but I think that describes what I had in mind. Anyway. So a lot of people are not, they're not even at that point where they will accept that they even have a mental health issue.
Yeah.
Not to mention adjusting to it.
Yeah.
It all boils down to it all boils down to knowledge, you know, knowledge powered living.
Okay.
The reason you are agitated is because the brain is 100% water. The human body is 75% water. If you lose 1% of your brain, you are dead. If you lose 0.5%, you are liable to be insane. So most people are literally walking dehydrated human beings. Stress is dehydrating them.
Right.
And if your brain is being dehydrated by stress, there's no way you will not behave like a mad person. You know, and if you're now used to that lifestyle, maybe because you're ignorant, because programming is programming, if your body has been programmed that way, that's how you think that you ought to keep living until you drop dead. Right. But when there is awareness, there is sensitization, people can now know that, oh, they're only in love with what is truncating their longevity. So it doesn't make any sense, right? So because you are programmed, you can be deprogrammed. And you know, when you proactively come in contact with the knowledge that helps with that deprogramming, you get to appreciate. I mean, there's no way I would prefer to live in Lagos than Akure. The only reason I relocated was because of economics. So economics is also part of it.
Right.
A lot of
That's what brings most people to Lagos.
Absolutely.
Because they have this perception that there is money to
No, it's not perception. It's not perception. I mean, 40% of the revenue is Nigerian revenue is generated from Lagos. Right. So it's not a perception, it's a reality, it's fact. It's an economic fact. You know, but you have to be very, very proactive. Still, balance. The sweetest way to live is proactive balance. There has to be balance in every way. Because at the end of the day, if you have money and you don't have health, what's the point?
What's the point?
Right? So you're
going to end up spending the money on your health.
Exactly. So I mean, it's like you know, penny wise, pound foolish.
Right.
So but if you're, because a lot of people are stressed not just because of the mechanics of Lagos, but also because of their own ignorance. Their ignorance powered lifestyle. When you ought to be resting, you're on social media.
Right. You're pressing your phone.
You know. So
getting the number of hours of sleep.
You know. So the mechanism of Lagos itself can contribute, but you yourself as an individual, your lifestyle is contributing to it.
Okay, let's talk about carbon emission in Lagos State. Now, I stay somewhere in Barua.
Okay.
And what I observed is that when coming to work every day, when I'm leaving Barua, the air is kind of, because Barua is not necessarily as crowded as once you start moving towards Iyanopaja, to Agege, down to Agege. But what I observed is that once you leave Barua and you come close to Iyanapaja. Once you enter Iyanapaja towards Agege to Bega, there's a lot of carbon in the air. And I cannot deny it because as a person, I feel it. And I know that when I'm inhaling or breathing in and breathing out, I know that the air from where I'm coming from is different from where I am. Now, how much impact does this also play, or does it even have any role at all?
Yeah, of course, it plays. That's nutrition is one of the ways you balance it.
Nutrition. I think a lot of Lagosians don't even eat well to start with, but let me allow you to land.
When it comes to intentional living, you cannot delegate it to any other person.
Right.
It is strictly your job for life. If you're getting married, for instance, maybe as a man, whoever is going to be cooking, it has to be from the standpoint of conscious nutrition, most especially in Lagos. Thankfully, you live in a place where the environment, the air is still.
It's not even the best, but at least it's
still kind of okay. I mean, if you can't even compare the air of Lagos to New York, for instance.
Right.
But when you're intentional about it, for instance, I tell Lagosians to fast once a day. Sorry, once a week.
Once a week, okay.
At least once a week, right? There are times that.
What type of fasting might that be?
As in just water fasting.
Okay.
Just water fasting.
All day.
All day. At best, maybe you want to take some water
cleanse
fruits.
Your colons?
Yes, colon detoxification. It helps. This is the seat of all sickness.
Right.
So when you give it the opportunity to rest, because you are, every single day your body is working, digestion is happening.
I know a certain person, and I'm sure every single one of us, the three of us on this program, must know one person in Lagos that lives like this, that wakes up at 4 a.m. While they are inside the bus, they are buying rice, jollof rice, and they are eating the jollof rice, and they get to work. They work all day. While they are working and all of that, then while they are on their way back in the bus, that's when they will buy sausage rolls and whatever they want to eat, and it's just work all day. When they are sleeping, their system is working, trying to digest the food.
Well, when it comes to anatomical literacy and nutritional intelligence, when you eat as somebody who wants to display optimal performance, you want to be able to deliver at optimal performance level, right? Peak performance level. When you eat in the morning before 11, you have negatively affected your prime energy.
How so?
I know a lot of people, things I talk about are not conventional, they're not mainstream information.
Right.
There are things that I had to do my own heavy research, go down the rabbit hole to understand these things. I used to fall sick a lot as a child. So it forced me, when the internet came, cyber cafes, 2003, 2000, I started surfing the internet a lot to find out about these things. And I realized that our lifestyle, the typical lifestyle of a Lagosian is an artificial lifestyle. It is artificial if it is not natural. It is artificial if it is not in sync with the natural mechanics and dynamics of your body. Right?
Okay.
When you wake up with prime energy. But because of the programming from childhood of eating in the morning, you're a child, you need to eat in the morning. But you are no longer a child. You're an adult now, so you need to adopt adult lifestyle, not childish lifestyle, right? You wake up with prime energy. Has there been times where you went to bed at night and you were hungry and you woke up, you weren't hungry?
Right. That's like literally me almost all the time.
It's because of glycogen got converted to glucose overnight while you were sleeping. So you had energy. You had energy when you woke up. But you were supposed to use that prime energy for work. But the moment you eat, on top of that prime energy, you have corrupted that prime energy. So that's why you feel dizzy at night.
Once you are done eating, in the morning,
but you don't feel that dizzy when you eat in the afternoon. You don't feel that dizzy because metabolism is high. It works with the sun. The sun, your metabolism is still very slow in the morning. So when you are eating, you don't need that food in the morning. It's just a programming that you think you need that food. You don't. But a lot of people have been programmed from childhood that way, and they are not proactively deprogrammed that programming. So So and all of this affects your mental health. Nutrition plays a role in your mental health as well. So if you understand that digestion itself is stress to your body, most especially when you understand that the food we are eating now is even artificial food to even begin with. Most of the food. So you reduce the frequency of consumption of such food. At least let it be closer to when the sun is up before you take your first meal.
So that's why you suggested 11 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. You know, between 11 and 6, 7 p.m. That's when you should eat. Anytime before 11, anytime after 7, you should not be eating. Otherwise, you're going to be... Metabolism is slow. It's already going to almost zero by the time it's 8, 9. And you are eating at that time. What are you doing to yourself? It will compound into your mental health.
I just learned a lot right now. Because we see like all these content creators or like just people naturally, like in the morning, it's like a king. In the afternoon,
most of them they are ignorant about nutrition. A lot of people think that it is only if I've gone to school to study nutrition that is when I should. Is it not my own health? Yeah. It's only when I went to study medicine. That's why
I feel like
I should do
research has a major role to play.
It does.
A lot of people don't even pay attention to their body. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how they feel at a certain point in the month. They don't know how their body reacts to certain foods. There's some people that, okay, for instance, my husband, he used to take milk, and I just observed after a while that whenever he drinks anything that contains lactose, he has diarrhea. He just starts rushing to the toilet. And he did not know. He was drinking tea. The good tea is good for your body. So there was a time I told him, I said, do you know that you're lactose intolerant? He said, me can never be me. This and that. It's okay.
At least 80% of Africans are lactose intolerant.
Let's try it. He took a beverage that evening and I added a lot of milk. Then following he started. So initially he thought it was food poisoning, not knowing that it was just lactose intolerance. Now, one major part that I want us to talk about, since we are focusing on Lagos State, is the touts in Lagos, the agberos, the lifestyle in Lagos. While I was in Abuja, I'll still keep going back to Abuja, please, viewers. That's the experience I have, so that's what I can bring. Now, while I was in Abuja, I observed that my uncle would drive us from Nyanya to Life Camp without saying a word. Nobody's shouting at him, even if he makes a mistake while driving. Everybody's just minding their business. But in Lagos State, I know a pastor that will remove his collar. You know this collar that pastors wear. I say, I need to remove this so that they will not say a pastor is cursing at someone. And then just have to there's this. So that's another kind of stress in my view. Does this also play a role on people's mental health? How we relate with others?
Don't forget I said that mental health is a proactive balance between emotions and logic. If somebody says, Seun, you're stupid, I will not say, me stupid, you must be mad. I would rather ask, why do you think I'm stupid? Because if I know myself, and I have the succinct data about myself, and I know I'm not stupid, and you think I'm stupid, I'll ask you, why do you think I'm stupid? Can you enlighten my stupidity then, if you think I'm stupid?
I feel like by the time you even ask that question, the person would have lost balance.
Absolutely, absolutely, you know, so... If somebody is trying to drive stupidly on the road, I mean, if you're driving in Lagos, you assume as if everybody is mad.
Right.
So you adapt.
Isn't that assumption toxic in its own way?
No, it's not. It's a way to safeguard your mental health.
Yes, because I feel like people come to Lagos, sorry for cutting short, with the perception that here you have to be seen as someone who come and read you of your rights or just come.
Nobody wants to be
everybody's on the edge.
So
if you're on the edge as well, it's not going to do you any great deal of good. So if somebody drives recklessly and then I try to overtake the person to tell the person I do recklessly, and maybe I start calling the person names, the person just gave me an opportunity to unveil what has always been inside me. If I come into a dark room, if I come in without tiptoeing, and I start dragging my feet along the way, and then I flip on the switch. If there were rats in that room, I would not know. They will laugh.
Yeah.
But if I come in very, very stealthily, and then I flip on the switch, I will see the rat trying to. So the provocation does not make me an ill-tempered person. It only helps to reveal what an ill-tempered person I am. Right? So, but if I'm not an ill-tempered person, I'll be like, well, okay, now you know. Let me drive on Sango, you know. So.
Also, I think you were going to ask a question.
Yes, I was like, I was going to say that, you know, that mentality of, like, coming to Lagos, and you have to come with this
hustler spirit.
Hustler spirit. But we see majority of the time is this leading to the population range of people in Lagos.
Yeah.
We see like people come from rural areas to come and, you know, make ends into Lagos with that kind of mindset and
without the orientation, the city orientation.
Yes, and majority of the time is that maybe they stayed for up to a year, they don't have really anything to show for it, but they don't want to go back and see, and people at home say, oh, they came empty-handed, so they would rather stay here and continue to deal with this thing. So how is that like what coping mechanism that do you think that, you know, people like that should?
Because in addition to that, a lot of people put themselves under pressure, and we see this literally every December. When it's December, they want to go home and go and prove that, yes, I've made it in Lagos. Yeah. And then when they come back, they just start... They
start from zero.
Yeah! I know a person that lost his whole shop just because he went to June for Christmas, and he comes back again, also again, and go and prove to them and told them that.
That is where economic and financial literacy comes in. By far, one of the most especially if you're living in a city where the cost of living is very high. You can't afford to be an economic puppet. You have to be... The highest use of money is for investment purpose. Investment because you can multiply it. Yeah. When you get an alert of whatever, 500,000, 1 million, 50,000, ask yourself first, because a lot of people have been raised to squander resources. That's how they were raised. The reason majority of people are poor is not because the government is bad, even though we know the government is bad, or we have a lot of mediocre people running government or governance. But also mostly because most people have been wired to squander resources. That alert came, the next thing he's thinking about is to go to the boutique. Next thing he's thinking about is to go to KFC. Next thing he's thinking about is to buy something that is not in alignment with multiplying that money.
It's a want and not necessarily a need.
I tell people, when it comes to economic literacy, this is what I try to introduce to people. I call it the doubles game. When any money comes to you at any point in time, ask yourself, how long is it going to take me to double this money? Okay, I just got a 200,000 naira alert. Okay, so how long is it going to take me to get it to 400,000? But people have not been wired that way. People have only been wired to squander resource. There are only two ways most people use their money. Either to service their survival mode or flat out squander it. They rarely think about investing the money. And see, investment consciousness is how you are going to enjoy life. Because you need resources in a capitalistic, we live in an economic planet. You need resources to enjoy life.
What about saving? Like if they don't...
Yeah, of course, savings, but eventually savings is not going to make you wealthy. You know? Inflation is happening every day. It's investment. Investment consciousness is what we're talking about. Per time, you ask yourself, okay, I get this salary every month. How do I multiply? A lot of employees squander their resource. The only thing they do with their salary is to squander it. Or to maintain their survival lifestyle.
Well, I was hoping that we would talk about organizations and the role they play in the mental health of Lagos residents, but our time is fast spent. And on that note of investment, I think that's where we're going to call it a wrap this beautiful morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It was really insightful. Thank you to our viewers. We're going to quick break now. When we return, Daybreak Africa continues. Do stay with us.